Hello. Hello, I'm going through the unusual step of actually videotaping myself, or videoing myself just for this one illustration because I wanted you to be able to see something, to see what I'm talking about. We're talking about law and narrative today, and getting into law, I want to talk about or help use an illustration to help see the cultural distance that we're dealing with, but also how there's some similarities to the way we think. Um, the example is with the purity laws. And the purity laws are this whole group of laws that have to do with things like bodily fluids and clean and unclean, which seem very foreign to us in our modern context. But I'm going to use a couple illustrations to show you that maybe they're not so far off from the way we think. Now, right here, I've got a nice mug, steaming hot cup of coffee. It's a good thing in the morning, okay, depending on when you're watching this. Maybe it's late at night, you need a little something to stay up, get through those papers. Oh, so nice hot cup of coffee, but oh, oops. Okay, it's empty. But imagine I just spilled a whole bunch of coffee on the floor. All right. Now, when I did that, the molecular structure of the coffee itself did not change, right? You got a nice big old puddle of coffee here on the floor. But what do we call this now? All right, well, you can just still call it coffee, but you might also say, well, it's a stain. It's a mess, a spill, okay? And what do we have to do? We have to call down to facilities management. We have to get them to come up, and they're going to clean the carpet. They have the machines and everything, and they'll take care of the situation. They'll purify it. Now, as long as the coffee was in the cup, it was fine, and it's in its right place. And if I drink it and it goes into my stomach, that's fine too. But when the coffee is somewhere where it's not supposed to be, like the floor, then suddenly it's a problem. It's something we have to deal with. It's a mess. Okay. Now, one of the ways that these purity laws worked were around the similar idea that things belong where they are, that there's a place for things, and if they get outside of their place, then there's a problem. So another example would be, and bodily fluids are a great example of that. There's this boundary between my body and the outside world, and when fluids that belong inside my body make their way out, then there's a problem, and that's why there's these regulations around blood, especially women in their menstrual cycle, but also emissions of semen, and these also touch on boundaries of life and death. So there's a lot of interesting, a lot of boundaries being crossed. Well, just to give you another illustration, let's see. I'm trying to think of something. Here we go. There. Now, what I have in my hand now, well, what is that? It's okay. You can look at the camera again. I'm not going to do it again. Um, well, we call it spit, right, or something. But what was it when it was in my mouth? It was saliva, and it had a good function there. It helps me to digest my food and all. Okay. But now, well, you can see it there. It's spit, right? And that's gross. I mean, why did I do that? I put that in my hand. And you're probably getting all grossed out now. That's okay. Should I get rid of it? Okay. All right. Hold on. All right. See, all gone. Wait a second now. You're even more grossed out? But I put the stuff back where it belonged, which was in my mouth. So why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem because things get outside of their place, and once they're out of their normal place, where they belong, then they're unclean. So for me to put that back in my body, that's disgusting. But it's fine, right? You shake my hand. No, you're not going to shake my hand. Don't worry. I have some I have tissue here. I'll dry it off. And then I've got some hand sanitizer that as soon as I stop this video, I will cleanse my hand. Now, again, bodily fluids outside of their place. They kind of gross us out. That's similar to what the Israelites were dealing with. These ideas of things being in their proper place. So as we look at these laws, yes, they're very different. They're strange to us in our modern world, but in some ways, they're not so strange. One last thing. One of the ways that they would purify things, and you'd see this more in Leviticus, which we're not going to talk about, is they would sprinkle blood on them. And we think, well, how in the world does that clean anything? Because that's making it worse, right? Well, as soon as we stop this video, I'm going to put hand sanitizer on my hand. I'm going to put something on my hand, rub it around and all that. Okay, there's the alcohol to kill the germs, but it's going to leave behind aloe and probably some weird propylene glycol or other uh, chemicals and whatever on my hands. But that's okay because we have decided culturally as a society that there are certain things that are clean and certain things that are not. And that's my main point. That we decide that there are certain things that are clean, certain things that are not. Things belong in their proper place. And as long as they're there, they're okay. All right, well, enjoy the rest of the PowerPoint.